Hi everyone, my name is Yukari, and in July I did a daily process video for World Watercolor Month. And though I won't be able to do a daily process video, I can do a weekend post. So I hope this will be a weekly event where you can join me while we paint and journal together. And just like in July, Doodlewash is providing a daily prompt for people to follow, and so this is what I'm following along as my sketch subject. And today is August 7th, so day 7, and we're going to be painting ivy. And before we get started with our painting, I wanted to do a quick study on gray because I am going to be painting ivy climbing on a fence, and I wanted my fence to be sort of a warm gray. And so I am going to be using 3 different palettes that I have to make the grays. I'm first using my Windsor and Newton palette, and I do have some convenience grays, but they tend to be very cool. And so if you want a warmer gray, you really do have to mix it. And so I'm starting out with red and green, the complementary colors to create my gray. And it does make a kind of a brownish gray, and the more green you add, it gets to be cooler. The second is going to be the Daniel Smith, combining ultramarine blue with burnt sienna. That's kind of the classic combination. That's my go-to gray, and the more blue you add, of course, the cooler it becomes. And then finally, I'm using Sennelier yellow and purple, and it makes a very different kind of a gray. You could also mix sepia with blue to create a different gray as well. But yeah, so I've decided that I am going to be using the Windsor and Newton palette today. And so my gray is going to be permanent alizarin crimson, and then Windsor green. So I start out with a very light wash, and I did sketch out a kind of a fence shape. So this will be the fence with 2 front panels, and this one is the back panel. And it's really interesting that this color is really made with red and green together. I know that there are artists that start bold, adding a lot of paint to start with. Yeah, I always start light and add more pigment. And as you go, you do see a little bit of red peeking through. I'm softening the top edge here. And because it was a very light wash, the paper is fairly dry, so I am going to start the ivy. And I'm mixing sap green and Windsor green, and sometimes a little bit of olive green as well. And at the bottom, just basic leaf shape, not even in the shape of an ivy leaf at the moment, because they're just bunched on the bottom. And so ivy leaves are like a combination of 3 teardrop shapes. And so as I start to paint those leaves climbing up, you'll see me do a little more. So 3 teardrops. And still pretty a light wash here. And I did even lighter on this part because I'm going to be adding a little more pigment on the left-hand side. I wanted the sun to be coming from the right hand. So ivy leaves have a light vein that are pretty distinct. And so after I paint, I'm going to be using a white gel pen on a few of these leaves to show the veining. And for the stems, I've combined burnt sienna with a little bit of green. And I wanted to make it a little darker too. All right, so now I wasn't really thinking, and I was combining burnt sienna with ultramarine blue for the gray, and then realized that, wait, this is not the color. This is not the gray that I wanted to use. And so I'm going to remix red and green here in just a minute. Yeah, and I don't often use a flat brush, and I'm not sure why. And it's, I don't know, I find it kind of helpful, or it's useful, I guess, because you could cover a large area, or you can do very thin lines. And I'm making just bunch of marks, and we'll soften those marks to create some texture for the wood. And I'm not particularly I'm not very careful about not painting over the leaves. And then adding more depth and shadows. I will be using ultramarine blue for deeper shadows. And I did switch to my round brush. So I get some comments on my Instagram that they find it interesting that I actually write on top of my sketch. You know, the sketching part is relaxing, but it's the journaling, right, that really is what helps me unwind. And so I really don't mind writing on top of my sketches. And I suppose that's why too I'm not too careful about how I paint. So I'm mixing a little darker green and adding a little bit more pigment to the left side. I'm going to be adding shadows to that, even with ultramarine blue, mixed with a little bit of green. And it's really these shadows that give anything the depth. And so I'm trying to make the stems a little darker. And so this is my first time doing the sketch and journal video, and I forgot to include the journaling part of the video. So I'm going to just show you my finished page. So here is my finished page, and today I journaled about my week. I'm a teacher, and last week was our work week, training and for planning. And yesterday we had kids for the first time just for orientation, and I was really exhausted at the end of the day. And so kind of writing about that experience, and I'm going to be starting on Monday teaching with all of my classes on Monday. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. And notice that I did add some veining to the leaves with my white gel pen. And I probably did add a little more detail to the fencing. But really, the fence is just a light background. And so, yeah. Thank you guys for watching, and then we'll see you next weekend, and I'll try to add some journaling video as well. All right, bye.